Alright, so this week we're having a look at Amdusias for Demon of the Week. This is the 67th spirit of the Goetia.
Welcome to my channel. You are entering the world of magic and mysticism with your host, Lee W. Johnson. Keep the lights on and help improve the channel by becoming a supporter for just $2.99 per month. Hit the join button.
Getting into Amdusias, the date is January 20th to 29th, direction east. Tarot is 5 of Swords, planet Venus, metal copper, element air, color green, plant mimosa, incense is sandalwood, zodiac is 1 to 10 degrees Aquarius, and other correspondences are cinnamon, black mustard, hibiscus, ginger, bayberry, and silver. And the N is Denyen Vocalo Avaj Secore Amdusias. Okay, so the Goetia. I've got a side note over here. Oh yes. So the Goetia, appearing at first like a unicorn, but at the request of the Exorcist, he standeth before him in human shape, causing trumpets and all manner of musical instruments to be heard, but not soon or immediately. Also, he can cause trees to bend and incline according to the Exorcist's will, and he giveth excellent familiars. Connelly states, before I get into that, Amdusias is one of the 9 demonic divinities. Let's just bear that in mind as we go through all of this. Connelly says invoke during more aggressive pursuits and execration magics. Some believe Amdusias, Asmodeus or Asmodee, and Daemon are the 3 heads of the Asmodei image from Colin de Plancy's Dictionnaire Infernal, with Amdusias being the more aggressive of the 3 to be employed during battle and situations, requiring an aggressive strategy with military precision. Okay. It's quite interesting how these kind of group together, because last week we did Semayas, which is mentioned as being a spirit that can teach people how to become soldiers, and that's also that strategy and military aspect to that. And now next one, Amdusias. But although they're grouped one after the other, their rulership is under different planets, different directions, different elements. So it makes for an interesting thought process or examination, I suppose. Right, so continuing, Motor Wake says, note from Dictionnaire Infernal, he gives concerts, and plus also says trees incline to his voice. The Dictionnaire Infernal was written in 1863, by the way, which was before the Goetia, or before the Mather's translation and Mather's and Crowley translation anyway. This is where things get a bit tricky, because the Ars Goetia, which we know as the Lesser Key of Solomon, is actually a compilation of a variety of different grimoires. Also I actually noted these down because I found it quite interesting. It's something I actually want to note. Also in Neville Drury's book, Dictionary of the Esoteric, which was written in 1988, also mentions the concert aspect. And in Music and the Paranormal by Melvin Willin, he states, producing harsh, discordant music to torture the souls therein. And Motorwake also says it has no warnings, not dangerous in any way. There's a lot of interesting aspects when it comes to Amdusias, and a lot of interesting aspects of how different people actually experience and view this particular spirit. On the one hand, we've got Connolly stating more for aggressive pursuits and execration magic. So you would expect this kind of spirit to be quite violent, but Nurture Wake says not dangerous in any way. So what I wanted to get back to in regards to the music aspect, let's just go through this again. So the Ars Goetia states causing trumpets and all manner of musical instruments to be heard. This is when the spirit appears, comes through, and then stands in human shape. That's when you hear the trumpets and other musical instruments. Then we have things like the Dictionary Infernal and Dictionary of the Esoteric and Music and the Paranormal, actually suggesting that he performs concerts or produces harsh, discordant music to torture the souls therein. But it's that performing concerts aspect. It's almost like we are led to believe that Amdusias is a musical or related to music itself and will help with concerts or actually produce concerts itself, which Amdusias has been known to be related to. But what I want to get at here is the aspect of the trumpets and the musical instruments at the appearance of the spirit. And you'll find this in a lot of different situations. There's a lot of mention, especially when it comes to angelic beings. There's lots of mention throughout text, throughout history, of people hearing trumpets or bells or something like that as the spirit appears. And we also find this with scrying techniques, whether it's crystal ball or using the dark mirror or scrying through devices of such as scrying in water and things like that. You often find it related a lot to crystal balls, where as the smoky kind of it's like a swirling smoke that starts to appear. As that starts to appear, a lot of people will actually hear trumpets or bells or something like that to signal the presence of something. And in that case, it's usually an image, but if we were considered all of that to be tied to the presence of a spirit which is bringing a message, then we've got the same thing happening. We have these trumpets or bells or musical instruments which are sounded just before or as the spirit is manifesting or coming through. So I think that's what we are talking about in terms of the Ars Goetia. But then again, as I said, we have the Dictionary Infernal, which was written before the Mathers and Crowley translation, which just say he gives concerts. So I think we have this reference to the spirit coming through and the sound of trumpets and musical instruments or bells, whatever it is, actually sounding, but also there's a relationship to, as Amdusias, being related to musical instruments, to music itself, and can help in that respect. So anyway, bit of a ramble, just wanted to get into that though, so I thought it was interesting. Okay, so going on, Johannum says, there's a lot here from Johannum. I've kind of put it into point form, so I'm just going to go through it quickly. Harbinger of understanding in matters of divinity and how one relates to his fellow man. Make one incorrigible and unrepentant. Become shameless in selfishness and depravity. Imparts understanding in sacrifice, necromancy, cannibalism, torture, magic, death curses, and creation of thought forms which seek out and destroy targets. It's also stated that Amdusias, this is Johannum here, states that Amdusias is a twin of Asmodeus, as Lucifer is to Lucifuge. It's quite an interesting thing. I mean, if we come back to the three heads of Asmodai, being Amdusias, Asmodeus, and Daemon. We've got this triple or twin aspect somewhere in there. Continuing with Jahannam, rules all negative aspects of life and can bring about disasters. Can consume a victim with negative emotion and rid a person of them. Useful in money magic and divination, especially pendulum. Rules warding, shielding, protection, banishing, and exorcism. Bending of trees, or in reference to the bending of trees, assumed to be control of tree-dwelling spirits. Then going on to the Goetia ritual, some interesting things here, how they actually phrase the aspects and the offices of Amdusias in relation to the other stuff. So I just wanted to go through that. Awakens things that have lain half asleep since the dawning of our souls. Removes chance from life and makes the future known. Cause things to bend and incline, for as the leaf is bent, the tree inclines, advancing the invocant's position, and also breaks the silence of the world, revealing its many and varied majestic sounds. And then the symbolism of the unicorn is symbol of Jupiter, whose planetary attributes are majestic, expansive, organizing, and optimistic. Amdusias is one of the more popular spirits of the Goetia, and I think when it comes to the relationship of Amdusias with Asmodeus, and then also Daemon as being either the twin or the triple face of Asmodei, or Asmodai. We've got a lot of correlations we can bring into this, a lot of parallels that you can have a look at, and quite some interesting stuff. And also, coming back to Connolly's work, the Ducant working, the traditional demonology, etc., the mention of Amdusias being one of the 9 demonic divinities. Amdusias represents destruction. So whereas you have the 5 elemental kings, being Lucifer, Flerius, Leviathan, Belial, and Satan, we also then have the addition of the 4, which make up the 9, which is Ansia, Varine, Amdusias, and Euonymus. So Amdusias is the destructive force. So we have life, health, or life being the creative force. Then we have health or healing. We have the destructive force, and then we have Euonymus being the aspect of death. So you've got the balance of creation and destruction, and then health and death. So it kind of balances out the circle with the balancing of the elements itself. So it's quite a potent, powerful circle that you can create with all 9. Let's put it that way. All right, so that's Amdusias. Let's just see next week. I think it's Belial. Yes, Belial next week. All right, we'll get into that then. Have a good one. Cheers for now. Bye bye.